Hello, podcast family. What is up? In today's episode, we are bringing you Seth Carswell, founder of Vessell Goods Leather Company. Seth designs and creates fine leather pieces and refines them to offer something finished that meets rigorous standards of quality, craftsmanship, and durability. Each item is created by hand in nearby Lake City, Florida. Seth is passionate about leather goods and hopes that he can have the privilege to craft something that will be part of your living legacy. In today's episode, we talk about a grandfather's baseball mitt and how it left a legacy and story behind to impact Seth's business, the challenges of being a one-man show. How do you scale when you are a one-man show? What's the first hire look like? The importance of storytelling and content creation in business, and the deep desires of making a side hustle a full-time business. Enjoy the show. You are listening to WHOA Podcast, coming to you from Gainesville, Florida. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the WHOA GNV Podcast, the podcast bringing you businesses and individuals that make you go,
whoa. You almost caught me off guard with that one.
Yeah, I was, dude, warm up. Let's get ready.
All right.
I am your host, Collin, and my co-host is Michael Dees.
What's going on, man?
Is up,
dude,
man?
Can you believe it's almost December?
I know, man. It's right around the corner, dude. It's crazy.
It's wild. What a year.
I know. I'm like so ready for it to be over.
Right. What are you looking forward to most about
2021?
Yeah, just
the fact that we like survived 2020. Right. Isn't that good enough?
I think that's pretty true for everybody.
Yeah, man. I think everybody's just ready for this year to be gone.
Put COVID in the rear view. Put the election in the rear view. Put
everything, man.
Put everything in the rear view.
Let's just keep moving forward.
That's right.
Well, happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Yeah.
Just want to wish everybody a wonderful Thanksgiving, as now the holidays are right here, and it's such a good time. Man, I love the holidays. It's a little weird in Florida because it's like always super hot. Or it's warm. Hopefully it'll be cold.
People are looking forward to social distancing from their family.
Yeah, there you go. So anyway, you guys, we are excited to get into today's show. But before we do, I absolutely have to thank our incredible sponsors. You guys, if your business has ever bought land, sold property, or negotiated a lease, you know why it's important to have someone who is in your corner, who knows the market and delivers results. That's why you see so many Colliers International Gainesville signs. The GNV advisors, man, over at Colliers International. They have the most experienced commercial real estate team in the market, along with access to a global network of industry experts. With one call, you'll know why so many businesses trust them. Go visit them at colliers.com/Gainesville to get more information. Dan Drodos and team, thank you so much for your support. You guys have been a big sponsor and a big supporter of our shows this year, and we are just super, super grateful for you guys. And thanks for making it all happen. And real quick, I wanted to give some love to the Business Report too, man. They've been writing some awesome articles in the Business Report. Just really sharing the stories, of our guests and just, putting it in written form, getting it out there, and then linking back to the episode is like really, really cool. And so we just really appreciate the Business Report for your partnership in this. It's so much fun.
It's a big family.
All this community coming together for great cause to really show off these businesses. It's awesome. So, man, you ready?
Let's do it.
I
see a baseball mitt, so I'm already excited.
He's already excited. You guys, today on the show, we have Seth Carswell, founder and craftsman of Vessell Goods Leather Company, a company that handcrafts heirloom quality leather goods that capture a man's story through age and patina to share with future generations. What's up, man?
Yeah. Hey,
how are you doing?
I'm good.
Welcome to our other home.
I'm excited to be here.
We're excited to have you, man.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we absolutely love to do, start with, is, man, we just want to hear your story. I want to hear how you got into all this.
Yeah,
and,
man.
And one, explain to everybody what it is you do, and then kind of dive back into like how you got into it.
Yeah, sure. So Vessell Goods is kind of a handcrafted leather goods company. So we make goods predominantly for men. And what that does is that ties back to kind of our core mission, which I can go into as the story evolves. So we make leather goods, and we make quality leather goods and goods that are really designed to last. I I guess the story starts really with my grandfather. So he's no longer with us, but regardless, what he did leave behind was a few items that really sparked and inspired the journey into leather craft. He was in his early 20s. He was a professional baseball player. Actually played down in Leesburg for the Leesburg Braves, which is a part of the Milwaukee Braves system. Grew up in Green Cove Springs, so all really tied to this North Florida area. And throughout his career, he predominantly used this mitt that I brought today to kind of show off. And I have photos and stuff with him. But the really cool part about his whole story really wasn't discovered until after he passed away, and that was really when we found these up in the attic. So the story kind of culminates with this item now becoming a method for me to remember him with, something that he touched, he felt, he used, and left his mark all over. And now it's something that I can hold and use and touch and experience. Really, what he used and poured into every day. So his legacy, really, his story, which he spent all of this time crafting through the development of his craft, which was baseball. He took that and then left it behind for something that I could enjoy. And so when I craft leather goods, that's the really main story that I want to get across, is that this item is built in such a way, crafted in such a way that it's going to last a long time, that it's going to leave, that it's going to carry your mark. It's going to carry the scuffs and bumps and bruises that you've kind of used it regularly with. And then that's going to be the thing that, your kid and your grandkids can look at and say, man, that was Dad's bag, or that was Dad's Dopp kit that, he carried with him for 40 years. Look at the character that's on this thing. And you remember, you remember him daily with that. So that's the cool part. And so a prime example of that is this glove. So my grandfather was actually notorious about fixing things with coat hangers and duct tape or a shoelace. And this glove is actually stitched back together with a bootlace. So you can't not think about him, every time you pick this up. And so that's what I really love using, my craft to be able to bring that to somebody else, through a leather good.
Yeah. When did he give that to you?
Well, technically he didn't.
Okay.
It was in the attic, and so I swiped it.
Okay.
Yeah. There's actually two. So there's this one, and then as an adult, he played fast pitch softball, and so he was a southpaw. He's a lefty, so all first baseman's mitts. So the other one is kind of a newer aged version of a first baseman's mitt.
Okay, so tell me when the desire to create these type of things come into play. I mean,
so I guess a part of the story that I left out was I went to college for industrial design. So I have a Bachelor of Fine Arts in industrial design, and I really all through schooling, I really had a problem with. We were designing these products with a mindset that we're just going to chuck these things in a year. Like, they're going to be in the dump in a year. And so what's the purpose of this thing? And so that began the journey of, all right, let's start seeking out materials that'll last longer than, 5-10 years. And so, leather's like the perfect example of something that only kind of gains character and gets better the longer it's around. If you take care of it, right? It'll last forever. So, I guess the journey into leather goods kind of came out of a frustration with product design and development. And after college, I didn't get right into the leather goods business. That kind of took some time to marinate after graduating college. I went down and I designed yachts for 7 years with a boat company in Southeast Florida. And then, got the opportunity to kind of step away with that and pursue this thing a little bit more.
So where did like all the craftsman type stuff come into play? I mean, where did you learn the craft, I guess?
Yeah. So the journey through the boat company, I had the opportunity to sit in rooms with upholsterers because we made yachts, so they would sew the entire interiors and everything like that. And so there was like 200 years worth of experience in that room, and so I would just go in and ask questions. Man, how do you do this? I'm at home. I'm trying to figure this out. I can't do it. How do you do it? So you go in there, and those were the type of people. And I think that's the great thing about this industry is that people don't want to see their craft die, and so they just want to pass any information on. And so really all it took was showing an interest and asking questions, and they taught me. Like, they taught me so much about just kind of the art of sewing and manufacturing. Plus, I was doing that on the design side too. So I was blending kind of the CAD, the 3D, doing everything in the tube, and then like translating that into the real world. Okay, this is how we're actually putting this stuff together on the floor, on the assembly line and stuff like that. So
did you always have a desire to be an entrepreneur and to do your own thing, or was it just kind of like, did it happen by accident? Like what, like,
yeah,
where do you go from being like in the upholstery store hanging out with the yacht people to like, hey, like, let me start my own business and let me like handcraft these goods?
So I think it over time it really evolved. So it kind of rubbed, you keep kind of messing with something and tinkering with something, and then it turns into like, man, I kind of want to, like, I'm good enough at this now that I can turn it into, making money with it. And so it wasn't like, oh man, I'm going to start a business with this. It was, it kind of turned into, I'm good enough and I'm passionate enough about what I'm doing that, we can now turn around, I can start to sell this stuff. And so it kind of turned into a business that way.
How long have you had the business?
It's about 5 years old now.
Okay.
It's about 5 years old.
And is it everything you thought it would be?
It's hard. It's hard. So I'm still a one-man show. I don't have any employees. It's just me. I handcraft everything. So you're wearing a lot of hats, as a small business owner, and you're the only person. If you see it, I did it. And so it's social media. It's being an executive, and it's being a janitor, all in the same like breath. And so, if it's just tough doing it.
Yeah. Do you have like this desire to grow where you have multiple people?
Oh, absolutely.
Handcrafting?
Okay, absolutely. Yeah.
What does a timeline like that look like for you? Because I have to think, and the reason I'm kind of going down this path is because I see this as being one of those labor skills that are difficult to come by, right? Like we, in our scooter dealership, finding like really good mechanics, for example, is difficult. I mean, we like spend a lot of time looking for great mechanics. Yeah. It's like the people who like do this like skilled labor work are becoming harder and harder and harder to find.
Right.
So I was just wondering, like, do you imagine like a room with a whole bunch of people like handcrafting these things, here in Florida?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. So I totally picture, and the plan for this is to have really your storefront be your manufacturing facility too. So I want people, and the vision is to have people, when they come in the door, it's like the old Ybor City. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. Where they have like the old cigar rollers, it's like sitting in the window, and everybody stops, and like that becomes an attraction. And I don't want to make the space become an attraction, but I want it to be when you come in the store to browse, you're seeing Fred or Joyce back there like making your bag. And so I want there to be a direct connection between, like, man, that person put this thing together, and so that there's not this disconnect of, man, it was made in some factory somewhere without a face. It's just this thing that shows up and people are marking it up 5-6 times to sell it to me. Like, that's not the case at all, and that's not the vision behind this thing. So yeah.
How much time goes into a single piece?
Depends on this, the size of the piece, obviously.
Well, how many different pieces? I mean, is this something that, you kind of dream something up and you make it, or do you have like a series of 10 different products that you specialize in? Like, how, like, what does the business look like, I guess, from an outsider?
Yeah, so so the product line basically is comprised of it's put together with I have a series of backpacks, duffel bags, travel kits, top kits. So it's like the menswear staples, right? We're not really getting into like high fashion bags. It's like the utilitarian, classic, long lasting styles. The messenger bags, which have turned into laptop bags, and things like that. So, and then we ventured down into, wallets and accessory type items, that are at that lower price point. So, you've got your bags, which, quality leather bags running up, $500-600, and then, your wallets are under $100, so you kind of have this price range that is going to, attract a different buyer in certain situations. So
what's what's your distribution model look like? I mean, is this something that people are finding you, and are you just selling through a website? Or are you trying to find small shops that will actually like carry your product? Like, how are you selling it? Yeah,
so it's a blend of kind of all three. So obviously starting word of mouth is huge. That's how people are finding the website to purchase. And then I'm actually having a lot of, and it's kind of this year has started it, where I'm having a lot of corporate stuff come in. So, hey, I want you to build these for my employees, to pass out as gifts. Cause I have the ability to customize, put custom logos and stuff, like your business logos and things like that. So it's really, it's online. It's venturing into like little retail boutique type places at the moment. It's a lot of word of mouth, and then now I'm starting to supplement a lot of that with like the corporate type stuff, and then private label manufacturing and design. So I'm bringing that part of the product development and design side into the business where, hey, I'll make and design a product for you, and then turn around and then manufacture it for you for your business to go sell. So that would be considered under the private label stuff.
You're the only person making them, right?
I am.
Okay, so I'm like,
it's tough right now.
Yeah. I'm like really curious, like how much, if somebody wants, 20 wallets for their team members as gifts, I mean, like, how long does that take? I mean, how do you, like, what's the production time?
Yeah.
And then ultimately where I'm going with this is how do you scale it?
Right.
How do you grow it? I mean,
yeah.
I know you want to get other people, but then you got to start training people. Like, my mind is all over the place with this right now.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean,
because I really, sorry to cut you off. I really appreciate the attention to detail and this quality and this like lost art. Like, I'm really fascinated by that and absolutely love that. And then there's like this business side of me who's just like, how do you grow it? How do you grow it? You only have so much time.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I'm rapidly learning that I'm limited with what I can do. And so the need to bring, I always, and I'm wholeheartedly committed to keeping manufacturing in-house, because I believe that is like, that's a core part of the story in the business. Like I said, you can walk in and see, Joe and Sally making this thing for you. So I always want to keep manufacturing under one roof if I can. And a lot of businesses, when they decide to scale, they'll outsource manufacturing, and they just become the conduit. And I don't really believe that meshes really well with the vision that I have for the business. And I'm super passionate about getting under a sewing machine and putting stuff together. So I do enjoy that side of the business, and I don't ever want to depart from like making stuff. Down the road, when I have other people like sewing the main product line, it might mean that I can focus on more custom goods, more custom and tailored items for certain clients that become almost a bespoke line or something like that. So I think that's a way to your scalability question. I think that's how you can possibly scale it, is to be able to bring people alongside of you that can carry the main product line. And then if I have the desire to still stay involved, it's you kind of split off and maybe do your own little bespoke line.
So what's your first hire look like? What do they do? You want somebody that runs the business side of things so you can focus on crafting, or what does that look like? What responsibilities do they have?
Yeah, I need a storyteller. So I need someone who's going to help capture my content, whether that's video, photo, and then get this, I need someone to spread the story for me so that I don't have to distract myself from producing items right now. That role can flip as the business kind of evolves into something else.
But isn't that just hiring a talented videographer? I know several.
Yeah, yes.
That could just be outsourced, right? Is that necessarily the first hire?
I guess I kind of blended that question into where am I spending my money? Mm-hmm. Which, yes, I think outsourcing that makes perfect sense. And in fact, I already do that to some extent. So if I'm looking inward, actually business production, I think that looks like another seamstress or a person to actually sew, because that's how you get more goods out the door, is get them put together. So yeah, it kind of looks that way, like another person has come sew with me. Yeah,
the storytelling aspect is definitely important. I would say that's a page out of the Collin Austin handbook, is to document everything and get that story out there. Do you see that as a long-term play?
Documenting?
Yeah.
Yeah, even in the short term, if I was setting up my iPhone and just recording myself doing the work, I would totally do that.
Right.
Or I'd talk about the process, or I think a lot of people have this fear of teaching. Even if you were literally set up a camera and just showed people this is how you do this particular type of stitch and here's why you do it this way, and it's so niche and so interesting that those kind of things, people, it's we get this all the time. Why do you teach somebody how to change the headlight via video on their own scooter? It's because, sure, it's going to help them out. It provides value, but I don't really anticipate a whole bunch of people being oh, I'm not bringing my scooter in to have you guys change it anymore because you guys have that video and I can just do that video and do it myself. No, man, people value their time. They want to be able to pay an expert to do it, right? And that's going to be the same thing here, but people are so interested. I could see that kind of content doing really well.
It's done. It's just not consistently put out there, and I think that's a big key.
That's
a huge key. And even when you go and you start looking at your metrics and and all of your analytics, whether that's website or social, that when you are posting consistently, you do see rises in numbers. That's just natural, and that is the key, and a shortcoming of mine, I'll be honest about it.
So do you have a game plan for scaling your time? Do you commit X amount of hours towards biz dev, to social media, to crafting, or do you just kind of wake up and say, this is what needs to be done this day?
In a perfect world, I am. Yeah, but I don't live in a perfect world. So, right now it's looking a little chaotic and kind of what's the hottest fire at the moment. And I use the term fire very loosely because it's what orders do I need to get out, and because I don't want to make that customer wait so that I can go, post a video. I say that as just an example, but when orders come in, that's kind of like priority number one, and so
of course,
unfortunately, some things hit the back burner that are still super important. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, I want that person to be happy with their order because they're telling other people about it as well. So they're the repeat orders, and then the people they tell are the new orders.
No, that's definitely a priority.
But yeah,
for sure. I mean, and I've even mentioned it on the show, like even this year, like Mike said, like I'm a content creator. I enjoy that stuff. I do the social media for the companies, but this year, dude, the amount of times, I'm still doing it, but not nearly to the level that I was because my head's been down. I've been down trying to save this company.
Sure.
I'm like, man, we got to get through this mess,
sure.
This COVID mess. I'm like looking at cash flow charts and looking at numbers more in depth and detail than I normally do because I want to make sure that I'm seeing us through this pandemic,
right. That's super easy to do. And I think it takes a great, a great leader, and two, someone who really understands their business and where they're going, to not just, okay, the pressure's on, I'm going to put my head down and just focus on what I have to do. So I say it takes a really great person to be able to stay with their eyes up, looking ahead, scanning the future and things like that. Like what's coming at me, not just head down, taking care of business, which is super important to still do. But
yeah, I'm gonna be super interested to kind of watch your business over the next few years.
Yeah, me too.
And kind of see, because I admire somebody who's like, man, I really want to be, on the machine and doing the work and that kind of thing. The one thing that we've discovered, especially when it comes to training and things, is that you often get like a copy of a copy of a copy. Right, so you train somebody how to do that wallet. They train the next person to do the wallet. That and then the quality starts to like go down, and that's it's a challenge here. So I'm just like predicting the future. How are you going to navigate those type of challenges of ensuring like that could that quality? Because I know it means a lot to you. I can tell like that
for sure.
That that hand detailed quality is such an important piece.
Yeah. I think that's key in not rushing to a hire just because you need to make a hire, though, too. Like,
no, for sure.
Like finding the right mechanic that will have that attention to detail down the road, and the same thing with bringing somebody in with craftsmanship. Like, if you skip a stitch, like you need to correct that. You can't just send that wallet down the line, at the end of the day, like, are you gonna notice that skip stitch? Probably not, but like, it's still important. That kind of messes up the integrity of when that thing's put together. So yeah, it's important. It's important.
No, for sure.
And you don't want to get that watered down, for sure. Like you were saying, like the copy of the copy of the copy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is somebody that does like an apprenticeship with you, like how do you rate? Like, I guess what I'm trying to say is it somebody that goes to school for it better than somebody that maybe is self-taught, better than somebody that maybe did an apprenticeship? Like how do you evaluate who a quality craftsman would be? Craftswoman?
Yes. I think it's the hands-on test. So you bring them in and say, like, what do you have? Show me what show me your skill level. And then you do that initial assessment and figure out where they're at. And okay, is this someone who is going to carry the values of craftsmanship that we're looking for? And then you go from there. But the question you mentioned about, schooling and apprenticeship versus like self-taught. Well, like I'm a blend of both. I didn't like apprentice, so to say, but like I sure put a lot of hours in, practicing with some supervision of someone like who had tons of experience. So I think it's a blend. I don't think that like, education in the terms of like paying for a class is always what it's cracked up to be. Sometimes you just got to get your hands dirty and put in the time. It's like the 10,000 hour rule. Like to master something, you just got to do it. Like there's no textbook on leather crafting that is going to really teach you the ins and outs of like the character of leather, how it's going to come together, what that thing's going to do when you start to bend it this way or that way. And so nothing can replace just doing it, for sure.
Is there a piece that you've made that you've just been like the most proud of?
I think the messenger bag that I currently produce that's on my site, that's probably the most technically complex bag to put together.
Can you give us like some insight into like how long that takes? What's it cost?
Like
retail.
Retail,
Yeah.
that bag is $575.
Okay.
And what people won't notice, so like if you go, let's use a big box store, for example. If you go into one of these department stores and pick up that bag, it may look the same on the outside, but what they're doing is cutting corners with material selection. So they're using a lot of vinyl, they're using a lot of like super cheap cloth and then super cheap hardware to get that price point down to where you see it in a department store. What drives the cost for my bag isn't necessarily the labor side of things. It's the raw materials going in. So a hide of leather, is that comes in at about $250 for a side. So that's about 20 square feet of usable leather. So that breaks down to about $7 a square foot. So if you think about it, that bag's probably like 16 square feet of leather. Plus I'm buying quality lining to go in it. So I'm using military grade canvas, which has a whole host of other like really tough properties. So I'm not using cheap materials. I'm using really quality stuff. And at the end of the day, that's the difference between, a quality bag beyond construction. That's the real difference between a quality bag and something you'll see, pumped out of China. A prime example. So I'll give this example. My wife purchased I'll say it anyway. She purchased a Kate Spade bag. You familiar with Kate Spade, the company? They actually send literature out with their bags that are like, be really careful with this bag because basically reading between the lines, because the material just isn't like that great. It won't withstand if you use it like hardcore. And I really kind of took offense to that when I read this thing. I was like, man, they're like purposely putting product out there that they don't like stand behind you to go use and abuse. And so that I would say that moment in time kind of pushed me in a direction to like, man, let's make stuff that can just stand up to life. So I don't know, we were going somewhere.
Yeah,
we were going somewhere with all this.
So the commitment to quality is always interesting because, again, trying to think of the right way to phrase this, but like you put something out there that's so good, that's indestructible. What are you doing to like repeat buyers? I mean, do you see that as like, okay, well, maybe they're going to buy other goods or they're going to have their friends and word of mouth and kids pass me down, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Or, what value is there and maybe making it not as good, but then you get people that are repeat buyers and that kind of thing.
Right. So those buyers, I believe in the philosophy, only cry once. right? So purchase this thing, cry one time, versus versus every year you got to cry another time to buy another bag. So there is that sense of like mindset. But then you talk about those buyers who purchase a product are actually turning around and they're buying stuff for other people. So they're coming back and basically buying the same product they just bought as a gift. And so that's like the finger, spreading out from like that first purchase. So they do come back and become repeat customers, just not in the sense that you may think from a traditional business model, like, oh, let's have this thing wear out so that they got to come buy another one.
How much variance is there from, like, say, one bag to the next bag?
Variance can look different in a lot of different ways. Prime example is no two cows are the same, right? So this is coming from bovine leather, and just like people, cows, like, skin's different, right? So from cow to cow. So there's going to be the difference in leather thickness. So that's going to vary through different parts of the hide. You're going to have different, markings. And so, like, I use full grain leather. I don't use like a top grain or corrected grain, which really gets in the weeds of like leather production. So if you don't want to go there, just let me know. But in a lot of processes, they'll actually correct the grain. They'll take out any of the flaws. But what that does is that kind of like reduces the fiber structure in the leather, so it makes it a little less durable. And so I only use that full grain product, which has never been corrected. So the variance is going to come through different markings on the leather, different stretch marks. Hides are going to have fat stretch wrinkles, things like that in it, that really create a lot of character. And I try to work those in.
So are you selecting like something in like a quality cow to get leather from, or how are you sourcing? So there's different. So apparently I do want to go into the weeds of it.
Sure. So in the past 5 years that I've been in business, the options to go buy raw material leather, so finished leather, but as a side, the options to purchase that like wholesale have quadrupled. There have been so many people, so many dealers kind of entering the market that have made it really easy to go buy leather. You can't really, unless I'm going to that dealer and physically hand picking out the leather, it's really hard to control what they send you. But they do have like grading specs that say this is like a premium grade. This is
it's a
level A,
like
B, C.
Else.
Yeah. So you can kind of control like.
It's not like a barter system where you're saying, "Hey, I'll give your team wallets, you give me steaks for the year."
Yeah. No, it is. You are a little bit at the mercy of the relationship you build with that dealer. So I've stuck with for my vegetable tan leather, I've stuck with a single dealer, for almost all 5 years, and so I can kind of I can say like, hey, I've got this project coming up. I need you to send me 5 really large sides, and he'll go through and he'll pick through their lot and pick out the right stuff for me. So it's about having that relationship with your supply network, which is super important, probably on the scooter side of things too.
For sure.
When you have a good relationship with the people that support you, like business goes a lot smoother. You don't have to fight to get good product in. You don't have to reject things and send it back. So they tend to take care of you if you're loyal and kind of take care of them as well.
So is it like a diamond or anything where it's like you can buy this bag that's this grade of leather and this bag that's like the same product but less grade, or is it just like you only commit to buying or sourcing this quality and that's what all of your products are? Like how do you source and then like put into product like that way?
Right. Yeah, I'm only using the grade A stuff. I won't buy, which basically the way that they grade it happens to be like, does the hide have tears or holes in it? Does it have scars or bug bites? So the more of that stuff you see in the hide, the less like grade it is. But if I'm doing really small items, you can work around scars and bug bites. But when you're starting to put together a bag that requires large panels, you really kind of need that clean side. So I typically only buy, the premium or select version of that stuff. Yeah.
I'll let you go back to business.
Yeah, that's like way off.
I grew up on a livestock farm too, so like I have like a whole different kind of interest in this. But
yeah,
he always dives into like the technicalities of like the actual craft and the art, which I mean it's interesting. But let's talk about like what your actual like the biggest challenge has been in the last 5 years, like from a. I mean, no, but seriously, but from a business standpoint, what's, you've done this. You said 5 years now, right?
Yeah.
Like, what's the biggest challenge so far?
Biggest challenge has been learning how to, two things for me. Learning how to, one, not micromanage everything. So relinquish a task to someone who's willing to help you, such as like office work or bookkeeping and stuff like that I don't really have a passion for, but it's a part of the business and you got to do it. So like having the ability to just like, okay, I trust you, go take care of it. And I don't need my thumb on top of that. And so that's been a big, I don't know if that's.
You think that comes from your attention to quality?
It may be.
It's like, when you're like that super detail oriented person, you're like, man, like I just don't know if I can trust somebody else to do it the right way.
Yeah, I mean, that tied to probably a little type A personality and things like that. That could create a perfect storm for sure.
Has this year had impact on your business just from a COVID standpoint? And
actually, I saw uptick in the summer months in orders were typically like, that's a dead, like right after Father's Day, that's like a dead time. And I actually saw a little uptick in orders through that time. And then like starting now, it's about to get crazy through the first of the year.
So what do you attribute that uptick to?
I don't know. I honestly, I haven't really placed something on. It may have been something that I released. I like made a prototype of something and released it and said, all right, I'm starting to make this, and then had an uptick and that type of thing. So I can't pinpoint it right now off the top of my head. Right. I'd have to really go back and kind of look at what sales I made through that time.
Are you willing to tell us how big the organization is from like a gross revenue standpoint? Like how much money will you do this year?
I'm pretty small still. I would say under 15,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is this like,
I have a day job.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's super. So what's the day job?
I have a day job.
I mean, you don't have to tell us if you don't want to, but like what's the...
I work in a family business right now. So my grandfather, same baseball player grandfather, he and his brother started a pulpwood logging business. So I'm now third generation a part of it. Once I left the boat company, I came back and rejoined that. That was like to pay the bills on the mortgage, and Vessell Goods obviously traveled with me, and that was something that I could bring along, and so that is very much still a side hustle right now. But but that's the vision, that's the passion. Like I work the day job to feed the family and
does
grow,
it
grow
itch?
This thing.
I mean, do you just have this itch to go 100% in on the thing?
Yeah. Yeah. And we'll get there. I mean, there's plans. There's like strategy in motion to be able to do that soon. I had a wife who, we had a baby, so she was out of work, and then I got laid off from the boat company, who downsized, and so it was like this, within this 1 year time period, we had like so much change, and the burden of the family finances kind of landed on me, and so it was what I had to do to like step back and not pursue the goal all full time,
Yeah.
Which I think is, I think any kind of man in his right mind would make that decision too. Like,
no, for sure. No, for sure. I think, I think it's such an interesting part. Because obviously, anybody who watches the show, they know, I don't know anything right before the show. So I'm just asking questions and hey, I kind of assumed it was your main gig, but it's kind of, I actually think it's cooler that it's not. And not that it, I want it to be your main gig, but I think it's from a value standpoint. There's a lot of people who are in a very similar place. There's a lot of people who are working a full-time job and they have this dream to do this thing. And a lot of times people aren't even sure if they're right or cut to be an entrepreneur. And they just have this heart desire to this is their passion, this is what they want to do. But at the end of the day, you got to put food on the table, right? And so I think it's an interesting topic in general. So I'm glad that you opened up about it, because I
was actually thinking about that a little bit before I even came in, about what would I want to leave this conversation with, helping someone else in a similar situation. And I think the biggest thing for me, it was one, don't let it scare you away from still pushing on that side hustle, right? Because and especially with a day job and a family, the time to work on that special thing becomes even more limited, but special. So that when you do get to break away and really push and pursue that, it's it's a real joy to be a part of that. Not that it's not any other time, but and then the second side of that was anyone wanting to step up that kind of side hustle game is it's work. It's not easy, and it's gonna be tough to do that, get in the trenches, but if you're crazy about that thing, it's gonna be so worth it. It's gonna be worth it to do it.
So what has to happen to make you, or to afford you to be able to focus on it full time? Is it getting investor money? Is it a certain amount of orders that come in? What does that look like?
Right. It's right now it's order volume. And I would say that I'm on the tipping point right now. So it's very, very close for this to happen. Cool. So we're kind of at this really exciting time where we can easily go there with a family discussion.
So listening audience, if you're looking for some good holiday gifts.
Absolutely.
Oh man. Yeah.
So we're close.
I think
so close.
And it's gonna, and that's gonna be a big challenge in itself, right? It's gonna be because I have to imagine, okay, you're still working a full this job, right? And then you have the side hustle going, and it's every ounce of time is being poured into the side hustle, and then with the family. Yeah. You only have so much time, and so it's a matter of all right, you got to stop doing something in order to make this dream a reality. It's so hard to know when's the right time to flip that switch, right? When do you just go for it? And
so I will give credit to my wife, who is super supportive. She allows me to go to the studio when, maybe it was the right time to just hang out with her that night, but she allows me to go kind of pump and pursue this thing. And then,
have you not taught her how to handcraft some goods yet?
She says she's willing, but she is super scared because I'm so particular. She'll self admit that I don't want to do that because I don't want to mess it up.
I don't want to mess it up.
Yeah. Which I would love for her to be a part of it in that way. I just don't know if that's her passion or her gift in life. to come in and be a part of that. So if that's not her gifting, then she can be the best cheerleader in the world.
Yeah. No. Cheerleaders are important.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
I mean, we have to wrap up in a minute.
Yeah.
So like, why don't we go ahead and like tell our audience like where they can find you, where they can connect with you. I mean, do you have a website established for this thing already?
Yep.
Okay.
Vessellgoods.com.
That's where you sell everything.
Easy. Yep. I do sell on like the social channels too. So I've got the little store there. But everything will link back to the website.
What's the hot product for Christmas 2020?
I sell a lot of wallets, a lot of belts, which I do. They're custom size belts, so it's not like you're going and picking up a 32. Like you're measuring your waist, and I'm cutting it for your specific measurement. So that's something really tailored that I like to do for clients when they order.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And then, so belts, wallets, and then our travel mugs.
Yeah, so that's one of them right there.
Yeah.
So like lift that up and show our audience what that is. Yeah.
So this is one of our mason jar travel mugs. It's hand stitched, hand closed. So if you see the stitch that runs down here, that's all done by hand.
Wow.
Super hard to get a machine to do that, by the way.
So what's something like that cost?
This is $27.
Okay.
$27.
Cool.
And it comes with a lid and all that stuff to travel with. So
nice, man. Well, dude, thanks so much for coming on the show.
It was a lot of fun.
Super interesting. I mean, I love the attention to the quality and the detail, and like, I mean, it's when that business is also an art craft, you know, and it's so interesting to me because it's just, you continuously see like this lost art of, you know, I don't know, just that, I don't know. It's just a lost art in a way, right?
Yeah, it's interesting because I feel like there's one avenue that feels like everything's going towards industrialization, machining everything, but I feel like there is some kind of renaissance going back toward the Etsy crowd, the people that are taking the time to learn skills and crafts and monetizing it or just, you know, doing it for the art itself, and I think that's super cool.
Have you ever explored that as an avenue, Etsy?
I have a problem with Etsy. I don't know if you want to hear it.
Oh, we probably got a little bit more time.
Yeah, let's hear it real quick.
So the shoppers who shop Etsy for deals. You know, you're not going to go to Etsy to buy a $500 bag.
Okay.
You're just not going to do it. So I've avoided Etsy for that purpose. Is that it's not
but
the right
$28
client.
travel mug? No.
Yeah, you can. You can.
You think that would do? I don't know. I'm asking. I honestly don't know.
See, say a $575 bag and be like, oh, but would you do it for like $400?
Yeah,
it's like those type of.
Yeah, it's like the you know,
it's like no. The answer is no.
Yeah, it's like the barter people go shop Etsy. So it's kind of like let's protect the brand image a little bit and not go that avenue. So a little bit of that has been like a strategic, you know, we're gonna pump the brakes and not go there. And really focus here. So not be distracted by like a sale.
Yeah.
Because I could go there and make a sale.
Right.
But you know, in the big picture, does that play well with the rest of your brand message?
How much do you make to order? And how much do you have? Do you just like spend time and stock up a couple things that are maybe fast movers on the website?
Yeah. So about 50%. I do like to keep at least one or two items on hand of each product, so that when that does come in, I can move it quickly. If it's ordered, so a lot of people like to custom emboss like their initials in it, and that's a service that I offer. And those I will make to order because of where that embossing comes in the process. It has to be
What's the turnaround like though? I mean, if I was like, I want a custom wallet, like how long does it take for me to get that?
Usually it'll ship out within 2 days.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's quick.
So you're hustling.
It's quick, yeah. A wallet's quick.
Do you have to take time off from your job to fill all the Christmas orders? I'm so fascinated by like this Christmas.
No, I work super long nights and a lot of energy drinks.
What's your favorite energy drink? That's just for me personally.
Yeah, that's a side hustle question.
Side hustle question.
Yeah, I've been drinking Bang lately.
Okay. The things that come up on this.
What's that? It's like cotton candy unicorn or something like that. It's a flavor. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like
Well, cool, man. Well, thanks again for coming on.
Thank you.
Super interesting stuff. Hey, everybody, special thanks to our sponsors that make the show possible. If you miss any of our sponsors' information, you can always find it at whoagnv.com/sponsors. Go there, get the links directly to the websites, etc. And of course, thank you to our amazing crew, James Leitner, Sarah Lentz, Allison Bucciarino, and of course, Michael Dees.
Thanks to you, man.
Oh, thanks, man. This is the WHOA GNV podcast. Hey, Sarah. So good to see you, Sarah. The podcast bringing you businesses and individuals that make you go,
Whoa.
whoa. We will see you later. Bye.